This is Kotemeschi Rise. We used to walk slowly up the street. Everyone who visited Sergo had to ascend this street. It resembled the Alaya, the Jewish ascent. Of course, this place can also be reached by a car, but visiting Sergo was a whole ritual. Sergo and Tatsmina district were inseparable. Sergo is a Tbilisian phenomenon. Tbilisi is a city of relationships and theater, which formed Sergo. I invented the term parajanization. It means to invent little things, provoke a little conflict, to bring to the surface 1,000 things that might motivate a person to reveal his inner universe. There has never been a dull moment here. The goings-on always had to be exciting and crazy. Sergo was the one who bore within himself this craziness, was its organizer and a participating actor.
Parajanov's work are extremely unique. He may use features from different fields of art, but he always turns them into something that is his own. His films are associated with colors, mosaics. They are very colorful and at the same time musical. They are full of plasticity and choreography and may also be studied from this angle. He is a very materialistic director who loves objects, textures, and colors. These are the elements that inspire him. The shapes lead him in different directions.
When I came to Sergo, and he himself was resting, he would tell me, move this object 5 centimeters to the right, and that one 10 centimeters to the left. Why? To create a composition. He had a sense of harmony. His God was beautiful.
Parajanov is primarily associated not only with colors, but also static. Clear shots that find their classical manifestations in Sayat Nova. I believe Sayat Nova is the most perfect example of his work, if we may say so. At first glance, we might think that he was a director of ethnographic films, but in fact, his works have a completely opposite character. His films take details from Ukrainian, Georgian, Armenian, Persian, and Azerbaijani cultures, but create cosmopolitan visuals. Perception of his films has no limits. You just need to accept his aesthetics as they are.
I photographed him practically every day. I documented almost every day of his life, with friends and other people around him. There were so many of them there. In December 1985, close to New Year, he was visited by Allen Ginsberg. I asked myself, who is he? And then I found out that he was the ideologist of all rock-related people, hippies. They used to sing together. It was an amazing thing to witness, 2 elderly bearded men singing together. He had a small musical keyboard and they sang together in English, though Sergo did not speak the language. I filmed their relationship. I'm a very happy man since I had the chance to meet these people. Thanks to Sergo, I encountered many different persons. We were waiting for Mastroianni to come up the street. We had been waiting for him since 11 p.m. It was already 1:30 a.m. At last, we saw 3-4 persons approaching the house. Everyone, including the neighbors, rushed out into the street and started to shout, "Mastroianni!" These emotions when all these people welcomed him with sweets in their hearts have never been documented anywhere. He was extremely surprised and said, "Only in Italy am I greeted like this."
I have met many talented people, but they were all talented in their specific fields: theater, music. Sergo had the talent of living. When his film was screened at the Berlinale, he traveled to Germany. Of course, he had no tuxedo. In slang, smoking. He saw a sign saying, "No smoking," took it and wore it on his chest. Of course, this turned into a huge sensation.
He turned everything into a performance, or better to say, an improvisation. He was very good at reading people. Sometimes he told me things about people that you can only be familiar with when you know them really well. But he could read them at the very first glance. His freedom had no boundaries. He knew no limits. He was not afraid of anything, neither the KGB nor the Soviet Union.
During his student years, he was arrested and accused of homosexuality. However, his instructor at that time played a huge role in this matter when he demanded that the authorities release the talented student. This first arrest is sometimes omitted from his biography, as he was later again arrested twice and had to spend relatively longer periods of time in prison. He was also later mainly accused of dissemination of pornographic literature and the illegal trade of goods. Today this seems absurd, but homosexuality was subject to prosecution in the Soviet Union. Like everything, the law on homosexuality was often used in political cases. Anyone who came to Georgia contacted Parajanov, and this fact alone was enough to arouse suspicion about his anti-state and anti-Soviet attitude. He was considered a person who could not be trusted. Georgian film showed its huge support of Farajanov after his release from prison by giving him the chance to shoot Surami fortress. He was deprived of the right to live in Russia and Kiev, was disqualified from doing anything, and would otherwise have had problems producing a film. The first day of shooting coincided with my birthday, as if it was a gift from above. Filming took place in David Gareja. The first episode, when Vardo is looking for Durmishkhan, had to be made as a long shot. He himself was sitting farther away on a hill. I was quite far from him. As such, he used a loudspeaker to direct us. He used to turn on a chair and sit on it back to front. He had a distinguished appearance and ruled over the filming location like a king. Sergo's death indeed a long fairy tale for me. The things that happened in his house never happened again anywhere else. The 1960s are associated with dissident thinking. However, Parajanov had never been part of it. He existed beyond history, being interested in the universal values and topics that he illustrated. In the Soviet Union, before shooting could start, a film had to go through several phases, which began with the approval of the script. The biggest problem here was Parajanov's script, because it united images that were based on associations. They looked like colloques. It is no coincidence that he started to create collages in prison. His entire work was based on the principle of assembled collages. He saw something special in everything. An antique object he had interacted with since his childhood because of his father's antique store had the same value for him as a cheap second-hand, discarded item, since he used them to create different objects and collages. His letters from prison are published as a thick book. In the vast majority of them, he asks his friends and family to send him colored paper, beads, and shiny little things in order to produce collages.
These are Alfred and Violetta. He made them for my daughter, Keta, when she was little. I think this one was made in prison from silver paper. He used whatever he could find.
This is the most precious gift he decided to give to me. It was made in prison. He could not find peace even there, was always creating something. This is Harlequin, and a gramophone that plays music to let people around have fun and dance. But you see that his eyes are very sad.
Sergo said reality itself is not interesting. This was his concept. If you don't decorate and add something to it, it won't be so perfect. Like in a film, which does not show a dull life. Sometimes one lifespan is not enough to include all the events that may occur during a 2-hour period. Because art is something different, with its high concentration of events. And he was a person of art, not life.
The final shot of Ashik Karib is very symbolic. It tells us directly that everything was created by his camera to reveal the illustrated universe. The final sun is like an autograph, something that is thought to be seen there for a second and then vanishes. Nevertheless, our memory preserves the unforgettable image he created not only through his films, but through his collages as well.